My area of interest, so we've heard about microplastics. Another group of pollutants that are really important are the pharmaceuticals. Many of us use them every day. Now, the problem with pharmaceuticals is we emit them to the environment, and when we take a pharmaceutical, we excrete those pharmaceuticals, and they end up in watercourses. And these molecules, because they're designed to interact with us, with receptors in us, and have the therapeutic effect, they're actually very toxic, because the same receptors that occur in our bodies also occur in fish and invertebrates. So these molecules are very toxic in the environment. Now, if we could have the next slide. What I would like to just sort of show you is, what the question was, what's in our waters? This is a study that we've just completed. It's a whole Europe study, includes Iceland, and then we'll come back to that later, trying to look at the levels of pharmaceutical pollution across Europe. Can we have the next slide, please? And these are the highlights. So we looked at 31 countries, covering 610 million people. We did a lot of samples, so we analysed over 2,000 samples, and we got data on a lot of pharmaceuticals. So it was 23,000 detections. And of the 54 pharmaceuticals that we were looking for, we detected 52 of them in river waters. One site had 47 pharmaceuticals at that one location. So it's not just single substances in the environment, it's mixtures of substances. And now the scary bit, the most contaminated sites were in Romania and also in Iceland. So this links to, but also the most pristine site, as we've just heard about, was also in Iceland. So we've got this sort of real sort of contrast. So very quickly, we move to the next slide. I'll just sort of show you the results. You can see that Slovenia is 9th placed in terms of contamination. You're actually worse than the UK, which is surprising. And then we have Romania and Iceland, but this was driven by one location at Iceland, so it's not a reflection of the broad pollution in Iceland. And then we have Spain and Norway. And I'll just show you very quickly some photos of those most contaminated sites. So this is the most contaminated site that we see across Europe. This is in Romania, in the Dambavita River. This location is just downstream of Bucharest, and we think that the explanation for the high concentrations of pharmaceuticals at this site is down to the fact that the water treatment, while it exists in Bucharest, is not that effective. If we move to the next slide, this is the site in Iceland. Now this is close to the town of Selfoss, which actually has quite a small population. But what we think, and if we move to the next slide, the explanation for this is we think that the wastewater treatment at that particular location is lacking. So we've got emission of the wastewater from the population into the river. But I'd like to look on the positive side in Iceland as well. So if we move to the next slide, this is actually the least contaminated site in the study across all the sites we looked at. So this again is just upstream of Selfoss, so it's exactly the same river, and basically we detected very, very low concentrations of pharmaceuticals. So hopefully that gives you a flavour of the group of molecules that I'm interested in, and what we find in terms of concentrations of pharmaceuticals in the environment.